Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
This is Paula.
Hi,
from
Paula.
CSR Europe.
Serdar is speaking.
Ah,
Hi,
Serdar.
Sundar.
Yes, it's
And we
me.
have Alexandros. How are
Yes.
you?
Hi,
Thank
good
you.
morning.
Yeah. And currently we are in a hotel room, and there are a few hundred people here. No, it was joke, not few hundred.
Few hundred.
No, it was joke.
Are we live now, speaking to the hundred? Hello.
Can you see us now?
No, we cannot see you.
Yeah, not me.
Can-
Come on. How can you miss? Now they are connecting, so you can see, but we can't see you. We also want to see you.
We can put. Okay, here, that's us. We are here. Oh, but we have a window behind us. That's not remove it. Everybody is coming back, Sandra?
Hello?
We cannot see.
Alexandros,
Hi, Sundar. I'm here.
how are you? Tikanis, kala?
Oh, kala. Now we are trying to face all of us. I think in Europe the coronavirus and not only Europe of course.
No,
around the
corona,
world.
you should
It's
not
a
be
huge
afraid.
challenge.
You have
It's a
Uzo.
huge
No,
challenge.
when you have Uzo, no corona. We have Raki, no corona in Turkey.
As you said, Raki and no corona.
No corona. And Uzo, no corona. Give us just a few minutes so we can connect the visual part. We have the voice, but we can't see you or you can't see us. So let's try to finalize that. Okay, Paula, can you hear? Paula, hello.
Hello.
Yeah. The technical team is working on for the screen, but we can hear you. So maybe we can start, and in due course, I think we can maybe see each other. So let me introduce the team. I think online we have Paula Byrne, who is the director for NPOs and sustainability management, and we also have Alexandros from CSR Hellas, Greece. He's the director of business development, and we also have Jack with us. Is Jack on the line?
No, Jack is having some issues to connect. Hopefully we can resolve them and he will join.
Okay, so maybe Brian, here we have representatives from Okay, Brian, we can. Paula, we can see you now. Great. Can you see us?
Hello, everyone. I can see you. Yes. Hello. Sorry, I cannot be there.
Okay.
Person.
Wait. Okay.
Time.
And you can see us?
Yes, I
You
can see you.
Yeah, on the corner.
I
Okay.
can see you for sure.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
We have representatives from business world and NGOs, and also we also have representatives from public sector. I remember I met Ministry of Education was here, and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and a couple of other representatives from the public sector. And this morning we actually observed the presentation of the report by Berat, the gentleman who wrote on our side. And now it's your turn. Now Alexandros and you probably will give some information about CSR, business and private sector and civil society dialogue, and good examples of that. Okay? So I'll give you the floor. The floor is yours, Paula.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And again, apologies, I cannot be there in person. As you know, we have been working with CSR Turkey now for over a year on this project. And it has been a great learning experience, I think, for all involved. I'm also here with my colleague, Soni Kanabar, who was our report writer on our side, so our Beret, and the two CSR together. So we hope that you all find it very useful. So I'm going to start and introduce a little bit about CSR Europe, and also, let's say, CSR in Europe. So we are called CSR Europe, of course. We are a business organization, business network, right? And that we have two types of members. First, you will see some of the logos here, some of the international companies who are members of our business network. And the other part of our membership, of course, is the national partner organization. And that is also like CSR Hellas, where Alexandros has joined us. So that perspective from a national partner organization, of course, as you know, in Europe, the national perspective is very important in terms of collaboration and working together. CSR Turkey, of course, is a member, so it's not just the EU. I will talk a little bit about the EU vision of CSR coming in the next, there are the big movements of change in the sustainability world, and we are happy to have many actors joining us on this journey in sustainability, especially to reach the Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. So I'm going to talk a little bit. But we are bigger than EU. We are also partners in Iceland, Ukraine, Turkey, all over Europe. So those are the logos. That is the extent of our network. And we have done, we do many research with our members every year to look at what are the activities. There is some echo. Are we on? And we look at what are our network partners working on. And you can see the SDGs that say the most partners are working on these SDGs in areas of quality education, reduced inequalities, climate action, of course. 1 minute, I just have a connection problem. Okay. So, just to give a little bit information about CSR Europe and its members, we went through a strategy review and prepare ourselves for what is sustainability in 2019 and what is it as sustainability organization with all those members that I showed you should be doing for the next decade. And we have based our strategy on this theme that you see in front of you, that we believe that business has a key role to play in finding innovative solutions to meet the issues of the modern world. But you see in the next bubble there, collaboration is really the important thing now in terms of reaching scale. So many actors, civil society, public, private, have been working over the last 20, 25 years on sustainability activities, whether that be starting with social change, impact in society, being more involved in the communities where we act, whether that is sport or health or other areas where the business can connect with the community. But we now look to collaborate on all these efforts and look how to improve the scale of the project. So by joining many, let's say, whether it is within your sector, multi-sector, with private sector, public sector, and civil society, we can reach bigger scale. And in terms of the challenges that we face, in terms of what the SDGs outline for us regarding climate change, regarding health and wellness, regarding industrial sustainability, supply chain, sourcing, etc. We look to collaboration. I will speak a little bit about that. And of course, as CSR Europe, we keep our advocacy, we keep shouting out loud, especially to the public sector and the CSR Europe point of view to the European Commission. So these are the three areas that we work in. I talked about we want to facilitate practical collaborative platforms with various stakeholders and industry sectors. We want to co-build with policymakers and civil society. So really take the learnings, take the challenges, take the issues that we have in our individual projects and bring them to the policymakers and civil society to discuss either influence change or look for support where we can better work together to reach. And I talked also about, in terms of increasing the maturity and integration of sustainability management. Where do we work? We work in 3 different areas, so we also kind of tidied up, I would say, our activities, because as you all know, sustainability and CSR is many, many topics, and that's often the challenge, like where do I focus, what is material to me, to my project, to my company, to my organization. So we also did a kind of bit of materiality in CSR Europe, where we said, okay, where is it that we have good experience? We have worked over the last 25 years on these topics. Who in our network, what are they working on, what's important to them? So we put it in these 3 pillars that you see in front of you. People, which is everything to do with education. I will look at the project in a minute around engaging girls into the science, technology, engineering, and math. So how can we get more skilled workforce and encourage more people into these areas of work where we need a skilled workforce to reach the challenges of the future. Sustainable supply chains is the second area, materials and circular economy, of course. Those are the 2, I would think, big topics that we are looking at and have been looking at over the last few years. And that's, of course, also putting respect for all human rights within supply chains, and how do we work with our supply chain partners, the different countries, the different governments involved in that supply chain, because many supply chains go through many different countries. And then also the civil society is key there in terms of training on the ground, awareness raising, helping to understand how to improve efforts for the people working in these supply chains, also improving the technology and making, let's say, more carbon neutral or cleaner, innovative processes. And the last area is sustainable markets and finance. I looked at that a bit when I look at the EU. There we continue the journey, as I said, with companies to how do you integrate sustainability into your business. We have been working with companies for now over 20 years, looking at how to integrate in every aspect of the business. So it used to be the CSR manager or the corporate citizenship manager in Europe who was looking at how to position the company in terms of CSR. What is it in terms of corporate social responsibility? What are their impacts on the communities where they are working? So over the last 10 years, we have seen really a big jump into integration of sustainability in every aspect of the business. We are dealing with people now from the human resources department, from the procurement department, the finance department, from the investor relations department, and many, many other areas. So it's really now across the board and integrated into the company. So that is a further. I'm going to move on. Of course, in CSR Europe, we have a big area to play in terms of engaging with the EU institutions. And you may be aware of the EU Green Deal under the new commission that started late last year under President Ursula von der Leyen, and that they put the SDGs, so that's really important, at the heart of everything that they do in every single directorate, whether it's trade, whether it's external action service, whether it's climate, industry, development. All commissioners have now to report on how their activities as the commission are reaching the SDGs. So that's a big monumental shift, especially for us in Brussels for sure, but for the whole of the European Union. It really means we are aligned with the global goals. It means that we are responsible and taking responsibility, and also aligning very much with the 2030 goals, which I think is really key. If we are all working with the same goals, the same framework, it really helps to communicate between the different geographies, the different companies, the different stakeholders, how to reach these goals. I think that that's been the biggest shift so far from a European perspective, and definitely from the EU, because in the past it was very much atomized across the different DGs, and no one really took responsibility for sustainability per se, or the SDGs. I wanted to show this slide. It's very busy, but I hope that Sardar will share with you the slides afterwards. The EU Green Deal has set out 8 different areas that they will focus on, and that those areas all constitute the work we have done to the different sectors that are implicated in those. So you will see underneath, for example, supplying clean, affordable, and secure energy. That is for the energy sector, of course, but also the aviation sector. We are looking at building and renovating in an energy and resource efficient way. We're looking at cement, construction, and again, energy. So it's really a multi-sector approach, and each sector is impacted by that. On the bottom, you will see what are the things that are going to help us reach these goals, and the number one thing, and it's a topic that's very strong at the moment, is around financing the transition. We are not going to reach the goals if we do not finance. And financing needs to be coming from a source of either public sector finance, but also private sector finance. So how do we unlock the finance and push it towards financing the transition to sustainable green economy? For that also we need research and innovation, of course. We need new ways of working, giving much more focus on R&D, which is really a key area to reach the goals. And the third one, I would say that they are working on it as the Commission, but we still need to see a lot more work on that, is leaving no one behind, what we call the just transition, because we have fundamental shifts to make in terms of sustainability, but we cannot do that without the people, and bringing the people along, helping them change the way they work, the skills, the opportunities to better their lives. So we really need to ensure that we leave no one behind in this transition. That's deal. And that will just give you, I can move on fast because I don't want to take much more time, around where the different areas will be focused on. So from a finance point of view, but also from a focus point of view, you will need Modernization and Innovation Fund, InvestEU, Skills Pact. So I think that education and skills, not just for the young people, I have to underline, because of course in many parts of Europe we are dealing with an aging population. We also need to look at how people reskill along the career path, how they change jobs, and how we keep them with the right skills in the right job areas. So that's really important. We also will look at the next slide. When we talk about sustainable finance, that's very key. We are looking at how do we fund the transition, and really looking to private sector finance for that. And you will probably have heard about the taxonomy or the Sustainable Finance Action Plan, where we are really looking at, from the investment point of view and the private finance point of view, how are they spending their money? How are they looking at where their investments are going? Helping them understand what is sustainable, what is not. So that's really what the taxonomy is. It's like a translation tool to help them understand, is this project green? Is it sustainable? Is it a good investment in terms of sustainability? Or is it simply greenwashing? So it's really to help understand how to finance the transition to a sustainable. That is the Green Deal. We will move on now to the project itself, and Soni will take over. And maybe I will skip this part, maybe in the interest of time. But just to give an example of some of the collaborative platforms that are mentioned in the report and some of our members are working on, but also as CSR Europe, we are working on these collaborative platforms. You see many different areas there. But I wanted to focus on two. One is, let's say, a sector approach for the European tire and roadwear platform. That's, of course, a big industry, I think also for Turkey, but also for Europe. The tire industry have a problem in terms of the particles that come off the tires and go into the water systems. But the Commission, European Commission, singled them out as a bad sector, was polluting our waterways, our water systems, through also through sewage and through water being put on agricultural land. But of course, that in order to respond to that issue, we had to look with a variety of other sectors. There are you can see there on the left, the tire design is not the only reason why we have these particles coming off the tires, but we have also driving behavior, road characteristics, and vehicle characteristics. So you need to work with the car makers, the road makers, and also the water management. We brought together with the sector association many actors. You will see here in front of you, automotive sector, the chemical sector, the wastewater sector, many universities and research institutes, public sector and EU institutions, to really have a better overall view and collaborative effort to tackle this issue of pollution in our waters. So it's really a good example of how collaboration can drive better results. I will move. The other one that I wanted to let's share with you as a best practice also is the one I mentioned earlier on science, technology, engineering, and maths, together for STEM. And you will have seen in the report, Johnson & Johnson were very much the leader here with other companies, IBM, Samsung, Amgen, and drive collaboration. So many of them have these companies have their own activities regarding how to engage young people, especially women, into these areas of work, so such as engineering, tech, technology, etc. And how do we bring our so those companies bringing their respective efforts together to see how they can really scale up their outreach. So for example, Johnson & Johnson had the goal to meet 1 million girls by the end of 2021. But they realized somewhere in 2016-17 that they were never going to reach this target if they didn't engage with other actors and especially companies also with these similar goals and see how they could align their goals to reach more students and more projects and have a better awareness raising in more countries. So that was a good example of this kind of collaboration. I'm going to leave it there. So that's a little bit in our, let's say, where we are in terms of sustainability today in Europe and in CSR Europe across our members. And we'll look now at the report and what the findings of the report. So I'm going to hand over to Soni to give you an introduction.
Hello.
Hello.
So this is Soni.
Yes,
Yes. Sorry, go ahead. Okay, so I'll get started. Thank you for having us today. So we focused our European report on best practices in CSR in Europe. We interviewed about 15 different actors from both the private sector and civil society sector as well. So in the next two slides, we just have a quick overview of the different organizations we interviewed. So McCain, Johnson & Johnson, Bridgestone, Vattenfall, Solvay, IBM, the German Organization for Sustainability. We interviewed them regarding the German Sustainability Code. And then we have the European Environmental Bureau, the UN Migration Agency called IOM, CSR Hellas, the SHIFT, our national partners in Greece and in Belgium. And then we also interviewed IUCN, the German Development Agency, and also some colleagues from CSR Europe who are working on the different collaborative platforms that Paula did. So they're all of these organizations are working on a variety of different SDGs. And the best practices we included in the report focused on different topics related to sustainability. So some of them were initiatives related to the environment. Other initiatives were more related to employment and social innovation projects. And then we also had some other projects related to supply chain. So it covered a wide range. So I start which is one of the first questions that we asked in the report is, what is CSR according to you? So here you can see a graph comparing the results, and you see that for the most part, civil society and private sector are more or less aligned on the top three reasons or definitions of what CSR is. And the most common ones that you can see here is the first is meeting the needs of stakeholders in society, and the second is avoiding environmental damage. You can see here that many of the actors highlighted the importance of the link between CSR and climate, and that the growing concerns over the climate crisis. So that was really a topic that came up in a lot of the interviews. We have now a growing focus on climate justice. With regards to CSR and sustainability in the European context, we also asked a lot of the organizations, specifically the companies, on their overall approach to CSR. So we had three main pillars. One is on corporate philanthropy, so various donations. The second pillar is on social investment, where the business strategy and CSR strategy are aligned. And the third is around shared values, so which is about creating economic value in ways that also create value for society. So almost 60% of the respondents aligned with the shared value approach, which is great news. There's now this transition towards having a fully integrated approach to sustainability. But there are many companies that are still starting their journey or are midway, and that are still focused, about 3% of them on social. So there were a number of fostering and hindering factors for both the private sector and civil society to engage in corporate social responsibility. The main ones are outlined here in this slide. So the implementation of new CSR measures are a huge factor behind different actors to engage in CSR. So that's with the different EU laws and policies and national legislations, such as the EU Non-Financial Reporting Directive. Also, the international reporting guidelines are also there to support companies in not only reporting on their ESG impacts, but also on how they can integrate this across the business. And then there's also a growing demand from investors for companies to report on their different impacts. What we've seen is that the importance of building partnerships and alliances has increased, which is great news. A lot of companies are already engaging in different partnerships. But on the other hand, today the CSR landscape in Europe demands greater accountability and transparency from all their stakeholders, including the private sector. And this comes with its own set of challenges. The main challenge that companies expressed during the interviews is the lack of resources. So both in terms of HR and also financial resources to invest in CSR. Another factor or another challenge for companies is also the difficulty to gain internal buy-in and building the business case for CSR. So that is something that companies are growingly starting to focus on, to engage, to raise awareness among employees internally, and get more departments to really streamline sustainability across the company, so that it's not just a standalone issue that is being discussed with the CSR department, but that it's integrated across the business. And then finally, managing stakeholder expectations is also a really challenging aspect for different companies, because ultimately companies want to take in the perspectives of different stakeholders, but also being able to manage their expectations and see this is how much we can do, and working together with them. Overall, what was clear is that companies are expected to now pay an equal amount of attention to all three dimensions of sustainability. So that's the social aspect, environmental aspect, and economic aspect as well. And this can be a daunting task for many companies, especially those that are just starting their sustainability journey. So when you look at the numbers, it's easier for companies to, let's say, develop KPIs and targets for their environmental targets, but it's more difficult to do that for the other pillars, so around the social pillar. Another important question that we asked the different actors for this report is how can companies determine their CSR priorities and activities if they lack the benefits and resources to develop an appropriate and effective CSR strategy. So the following 4 points were the most popular responses that we received, and companies really emphasized that in order to determine their CSR priorities, it's really important to have people that can engage, and that's internally as well. So building the case internally for sustainability is, let's say, the first step. The second is to prioritize what is material to the business. And then the next step would be to involve different departments and different stakeholders, and externally, with these priorities. and then finally to make that business case. So the quote below is from an interview we had with Vattenfall, and there the interviewer really emphasized that it's important to start from the most material cost. Because if you prioritize that and show the benefit of working with it, then you'll automatically be able to get more resources and more internal buy-in. On the other hand, if you do have more money, let's say financial resources, and you have a lot of that, then there's dangers associated with that, because then a company can go the philanthropic way, so through different donations and sponsorships, whereas sustainability is more about integrating it within the business model. So that was one of the points that was emphasized. So overall, in our report, it was quite clear that in order to have a fully integrated sustainability approach, and to foster these cross-sector partnerships, there were 4 key areas that were highlighted. And so the first is to make a strong business case internally for CSR, to prioritize your resources and focus on that. And to do this, it's important to have a thorough materiality assessment where you engage with both your internal and external stakeholders. And then finally, that it's really important to be more collaborative with different stakeholders to implement the sustainability strategy, because no company can do this alone, and no company can on their own address all of these sustainability challenges. So it's really important for them to collaborate with partners at all levels. I'm now moving on to provide 1 or 2 examples of companies that really had a strong sustainability management within the company, and then also I will provide 1 example of a best practice of a sector partnership. So I start with Vattenfall. We interviewed Annika Ramskog, who's the Vice President of Corporate Responsibility, and their ultimate purpose and goal for within sustainability is to enable a fossil-free living within 1 generation. This is around powering a climate smarter and making living better. So one of the really important things that stood out for me during the interview is about Vattenfall's integrated approach to sustainability. So she mentions that when the CEO is asked about how many people work in sustainability, he says all employees. So that's a really important focus for them, is to have every employee engaged on sustainability and raising that awareness among their employees. The next slide gives you an overall approach to their strategic objectives. So you have sustainable production, sustainable consumption, empowering people, and then finally high-powering operations. So, these 4 strategic objectives, as you can see on this slide, they have targets for each of them, and they're tracking them from year to year and actually making comments about their progress on each of these targets. We asked Vattenfall what CSR means according to them, and for them there were 3 main aspects that stood out. The first is ethical business practices beyond profit. The second is avoiding environmental damage, and the third is about empowering employees and having a listen and learn approach so that it's a 2-way activity. One of the challenges for Vattenfall in implementing their strategy is awareness raising. So their main challenge is to ensure that all of their employees have stronger knowledge on sustainability topics, but of course that they need more guidance on that. So it's about continuous improvement and raising the bar. So as Vattenfall is an energy company which is state-owned in Sweden, they really have to take a long-term perspective because they're expecting to be here in 100 years' time. So there's no other way than to make it an integrated. The next example I'm going to give you is with McCain, and this is an example we have around their social initiative called ENVI. It's a project that started in 2017. And this really is a great example of cross-sector partnerships. As you can see, there are a number of different stakeholders involved. To give you a quick introduction to the project, it's a social initiative focused on McCain's Good Partnerships pillar. So it's a project that is focused on reducing food waste by transforming unsold vegetables because they are misshaped. So these vegetables are then processed into different soups, and they focus on employing vulnerable people, train them, and then use these unsold vegetables to sell soups at a discounted rate. And now you can also find these soups in different supermarkets. McCain's initiative, so it's based here in Belgium. They've partnered with different stakeholders, so the different supermarkets like Colruyt, they've partnered with Randstad, an employment agency, and also with the different food banks to collect all of these vegetables and transport them. So here you have a quick overview of the project, the spending, and the different actors that they've engaged with. As you can see, the project is focused on two strategic focus areas. The first is tackling food waste, and the second is on long-term employment. So building up skills for different people and I'm going to end here with just a summary of our main findings from the European report, and also CSR Europe, and how CSR Europe sees the future of sustainability towards the 2030 agenda for the SDGs. The first is that the business contribution is core to Europe and ensuring that we're moving towards a sustainable future. So sustainability is no longer about an individual company's management, but it's about the entire ecosystem and the entire value chain. And this is only possible if it's implemented through strengthening local communities in different countries across Europe. And then the next point here is that impact and change are the focus of sustainability. So it's not only about a tick-the-box exercise and reporting and doing this just for the sake of reporting, but it's really about how companies can have a real impact on sustainability and on the material, the topics of sustainability that are material to them. And in order to do this, high impact collaborations and advocacy are really important to achieve this, that we go towards a more integrated sustainability approach. And finally, the last point is enhanced transparency and proactive stakeholder engagement at all levels are also really crucial to achieving the SDGs and achieving our targets for a sustainable agenda towards 2030. So I think that summarizes our presentation from our end, but if you have any questions, we'd be happy to take them, both from our side and from Alexandros.
You're looking also for Alexandros?
Yes, hello.
Hello. Hi. You wanted us to share the screen.
The possibility.
Okay.
You would like to show your screen. That's what you're asking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Sardar, if you have,
Okay.
you want to take questions now or at the end?
Maybe at the end. Okay. Thank you very much, Paula and Sonia. Alexandros, it's your turn.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Sardar. Hello to everyone there. Apologies for not being with you today. It's not only about the coronavirus. It's headlines everywhere, but it's mostly about my very heavy duties here in the network. So our main theme of discussion today is about partnerships, of course. And the first thing that I would like to share with you is that the biggest actually problem with partnerships is that it's a communication problem. And what is that? Is that We do not listen to understand. We listen to reply. So, on the one hand, we should have in mind that in every effort that we make in order to implement a successful partnership, we should start from listening to the other parties. So, saying that, I can say that the first thing describing partnerships as a mandatory field of working together, and as you already know, it is one of the main SDG targets, the SDG 17. But how we can measure partnerships and how we can emphasize on the deliverables of partnerships. So first thing is get time to know each other. So who is on the other side, and try to formulate a frank, clear, and precise partnership framework with time schedule. And mandatory is also to commit at the highest level on both sides. So on both sides. So actually, ensuring the support of all concerned, including employees and their representatives, as well as other external stakeholders, communities, consumers, so who are parts of that partnerships. And of course, satisfactory defining of human and financial resources that you will need probably for implementing the partnership. And in a few minutes, I will share with you two examples, one on B2B partnerships towards civil society, towards specific group of beneficiaries, and on the other side, I will describe a non-sort of, let's say, B2B partnership, but mostly C2C, so civil society to civil society partnership. So another very important issue is how we are planning to communicate internally the partnership, because it is vital. Most of the times, especially inside businesses, it's very difficult to communicate with other colleagues and make them follow our thinking or our approaches. So a vital part of the partnership for its successful implementation is focus on internal aspects of communicating the partnership. And of course, what else we need? We need, and we cannot avoid that, a monitoring system. We need a monitoring system in order to follow up the results, to follow up the targets, to keep on track about our KPIs. So what we want to do is actually, as I said, first identify the issues and make a self-diagnosis. So why I would like to partner, to whom, what will be the benefits, and why the partnership could assist my final goal instead of doing that by my own as a business or as civil society. So identifying and selecting ideal partner is another vital issue. Who is going to be the ideal partner for my aims and targets? And when I'm going to select or identify the ideal partner, then how I can commit to that partnership and formulate in a formal way, formalizing the partnership. So what should I need in order to do that? Another thing is actually, as a next step, is defining the content of the partnership. So what is the issue of partnering, and what actually I would like to achieve by implementing the partnership. And of course, identifying the ways of make this happen. You may want to say that it is easy to say, but sometimes it's hard to do. So, said that, I would like to share with you two very concrete examples of how, at least, or I would change to three examples, and the one is about the networks. And with CSR Turkey and with Serdar and other exceptional colleagues, we had the opportunity to work together more than 15 years now within CSR Europe. So actually, this is the first example that we as networks, businesses from all around Europe, are having the opportunity to cooperate and partner among themselves and to open the partnerships and the channels of partnerships with civil society and other stakeholders under the umbrella of CSR Europe. So this is actually one example, and I'm not gonna say much more. My colleagues from CSR Europe said very analytical things about what CSR Europe is doing, but I would like to share with you two concrete examples on a B2B partnership which is performed with CSR Hellas and with another more than 7 businesses in Greece with a focus to poor farmers. So, as you probably know, Greece faced a severe economic crisis the last 10 years. So the most vulnerable groups were poor farmers, and there are businesses in Greece, mostly multinationals, that wanted to take specific actions towards that reality. So going back to 2013, McCain Hellas decided to enrich its corporate social responsibility strategy with new innovative approaches, and initiated a consultation process with all stakeholders in Greece in order to identify specific actions to be implemented that will exceed the phase of philanthropy. So actually, the project started in 2015. It was about a collaboration, based on a collaboration between CSR Hellas and McCain Hellas, which is actually one of the biggest companies in Greece in agricultural sector. So the main task is to create actually a unique product in the category of fresh vegetables and especially potatoes. So through the initiative, McCain aims to support Greek small farmers and unemployed young people who return back to their birthplaces as a result of the high level of unemployment rates in the cities. The project called Produce of Care, so it was about a new line of cultivation of fresh potato in the borders between Greece and Northern Macedonia. So the project initiated a new relationship between the company and poor farmers living under the poverty line. So McCain safeguards the income of farmers throughout contractual agreements, while at the same time was trying to equip actually them with entrepreneurial skills in order to develop the appropriate entrepreneurial mindset. Also, it provides training, technical means, and farming know-how, so as small farmers cultivate potatoes in high quality, as well as gain access to the market under the label of a new social product. So under that initiative, under that partnership, what we achieve is actually to create a new product line in the retail stores in Greece, which was actually the social products. there are several other businesses, member of CSR Hellas, operating with the context of CSR also, and they wanted to, of course, to safeguard sustainability priorities for themselves, also participated successfully in the project. And as I can share with you that there were businesses working in agricultural field, in other fields like banking sector, insurance, and so on. So actually all other businesses offer their products and services with discount rates for those farmers that are belonging to the project initiated by us and McCain. And it is actually a long-term cooperation also with academic institutions, with the American Farming School in Greece and also the University of Thessaloniki, actually offering educational, offering education on agriculture practices, training and expertise to farmers. And what are the aims of that project? Actually, the first aim was to promote awareness, knowledge and uptake of the notion of sustainable agriculture, farming sustainable and social product. The second aim was to increase access to formal and informal education, educational and business cultural development activities and resources. And the third aim was actually to increase smallholder farmers' work readiness, employment prospects, and income increase. And the fourth aim was to promote active engagement with policy, actually practice and decision-making processes on matters affecting agricultural but also commercial issues. So if you wonder whether this initiative is linked with SDGs, I can share with you that that initiative, that partnership is linked directly with SDG 2, SDG 8, SDG 12, and of course SDG 17. So I don't want to take more time to get into more details about that partnership with McCain, but I would like to hold as a final result that within the implementation of the project, what we actually succeed is to increase the income of the poor farmers, actually to double or more the income of the poor farmers, and actually equip them with entrepreneurial skills, and not only that, but make that product accessible to all Greeks, to all retail supermarkets, with a track history. So everyone that wanted to buy that product had the opportunity to know from where this product came from. So this was a breakthrough partnership, a total new approach for our environment, and I'm very happy that I was part of that team. In order to maybe to answer to your question, how much that cost? It cost more than €1 million, and it was not only the support of McCain, but also the support of specific foundations here in Greece, which offered up to 1/3 of the total investment, so more than €300,000. So through that, you can understand that it's not only about the implementation of the partnership, but it is also that through partnership we can have more investment or financial opportunities out there.
Okay.
So, and if I may, Serdar, I can share with you our latest initiative, which is about the Summer School of Corporate Sustainability and Responsibility. which is actually another partnership opportunity. And the innovative thing here is that we managed to cooperate with two universities, one public and one private university. And I don't know about the Turkish reality, but it is sometimes very difficult to persuade both private and public sector to cooperate among themselves. So
okay, thank you.
I can say yes that this is the real meaning of partnership, actually, to convince yourself and after that to convince others that this partnership is worth to try.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. Faristo, thank you. And now maybe I might ask the audience that if they might have any questions, and if there is, we will try to answer. If not, we can turn it over. Evet, soru sormak, any questions? Okay, it looks like that there's no questions. And I think also do that with overtime. So that's why it's time for coffee break in Turkey. Soru sormak isteyen. Yes, there is one question coming.
So I'm trying to summarize my question in English. Thank you very much for your valuable intervention, really. I wanted to know what was your tool for measuring the social impact with the agricultural, with the farmers, because you only mentioned that we have doubled their income. Yes, this economical, how to say, impact is valuable also. But what other, what other indicators do you measure or monitor? Thank you very much.
Yes, Alex, you can answer the question.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question. As you said, indeed, it was our effort from the beginning to set the clear KPIs in order to measure the final result of the project. So what we measure is actually the income of the poor farmers and how we can increase their income. Let's say the participation of parts of the family in the agricultural process, meaning that how many members of each family are participating in the agricultural process. It was only the father of the family, also the wife or the children as well. So by increasing the income of all, we managed to increase the income of every member of the family, and of course give them the opportunity to open their careers maybe in other sectors or increase their participation in the project. Another aspect is the amount of fertilizers that these farmers were using in the soil. And our effort was to reduce the amount of fertilizers. Actually, we had another KPI is if we would be ready to scale up the approach. So let's say that the first year our effort was to include 20 farmers, and the second year to increase up to 30 farmers, and then the third year up to 60. So another KPI was to increase the participating farmers in the project, and of course to increase the partners in the project at large. So as I mentioned, we had a partner with us that offer.
We can see that and hear that.
Excuse me. Yes, can you hear me?
Paula dropped. Maybe that's. You
Okay.
continue. We
Okay,
can hear
so-
you. We can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so as I said, another metric was to increase the participating businesses. let's say that from the beginning we had the financial institutions with us who actually safeguard the contractual agreement between McCain and us and the farmers, because farmers needed cash flow, so the bank provide cash flow and actually had special contract with McCain in order to refund that money to the bank from McCain. The second year it was also an insurance company that came into the project, that took the initiative to provide insurance for the capital of those farmers that are participating in the project. And this is very, very important because, as you know, due to the weather conditions, sometimes farmers are not performing very well in terms of their soil. And this actually was the main KPIs, and based on that we managed, as I said, to take also funding from a dedicated foundation that is supporting actually Greek poor people.
Okay, thank you, Alexandros. Thank you very much. Any other
Thank
questions?
you very much.
Başka soru var mı? Okay. I think we also have over the time limit, so we have to finish. So
Thank you
Paula,
very
are you
much.
still there? Paula, I don't know, she's dropped maybe. But Alexandros, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For your support for this project, and hope to see you soon.
Hopefully in Brussels.
Oh, okay, and that's it.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.